afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome along to another edition of Inspire and Be Inspired. Weekly talks, usually on a Monday afternoon, 6 o'clock UK time. We've had a couple of deep conversations, we've had a few moving conversations, and tonight I think we're going to have quite a fun conversation. A very tongue in cheek introduction to a gentleman who I like to call a very good friend of mine, and I could waffle on for hours on end about him. And I always get a little bit conscious as soon as the camera comes on that I don't want to talk too much, just to the camera. Can I ask, guys, if you I can see that many are joining us already. If you'd like to tag any of your friends that you've been to any of the festivals in Croatia, and if you want to tag any of your friends who you're hoping to take to Croatia this summer, then this gentleman is responsible for all of the fun that you're about to be having. He's most definitely responsible for all of the mischief that you've had in the past, and I'm sure he's going to be letting us know what he's got in store for all of the mischief for months and years ahead. Without further ado, I click a button here and I go over to my guest today, the King of Croatia. And I'll just say that I gave him that title. He didn't put that on his own head. Mr. Nick
I can't
Colgan.
believe you got it written. You got it written above my head. Yeah, great. Anyway,
You did kind of object, but not too much, so that I had to take it off. Come
you
on,
know,
it sits nice with you, right?
it was sitting right above my crown, isn't it?
So welcome along,
You
mate.
know, I tell you what, though, before we start, it reminds me of a funny story. When after one of the first events back in Petrosjana, when there was an article in the newspaper. Actually, what happened? One of the drivers to the festivals was like an undercover journalist who was a student. Anyway, he was writing for some newspaper, and but anyway, there was this article in the newspaper that he'd written, and it got me superimposed on a big white horse with a shield and a Georgie St. Cross saying the imperialists have landed. It was like, I thought it was just awful. Anyway, that kind of reminds me of it. Certainly
Well,
not the king. I'm not the king of anything. Not even my own castle, mate.
we're definitely getting way ahead of ourselves at the moment. Now, I've noticed that there's a slight issue with the sound quality. I'm not sure if it's because of where your laptop is and where the microphone is on the laptop. Is it sitting on anything that's absorbent or whatever?
Not really. I've got a Mac. I don't even know where the microphone is. Sorry, Andy.
No, it's okay. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. I can see
Is that
people.
any better?
It's okay. It's not amazing, but it's okay. It's gonna work for
No.
exactly. It's gonna work exactly for what we need. So I'm sure many people will recognize your face. Most people will know who you are, and yet this will definitely also be an insight to a hell of a lot of other people. So let me just very briefly. I can't even remember how I met you, when I met you, but we go back to the mid 90s in Birmingham. Crazy times. You've skirt over, if you can, what you were doing in Birmingham in the mid 90s, and those kind of times when I would have met up with you.
I don't know. I mean, it's mid '90s, I suppose. That was times where me and Big Danny Kane and Jimmy Brown from UB40. I suppose we were doing the cartoon, the V Birds, or either that or touring with UB40 or
Yeah. So
along those lines. And
tell
we
me
had the
about
studio in Warstone Lane, didn't we?
the UB40 connection then. Very again, as I say, very briefly. I recall you a tour manager for them.
Well, no, no. I mean, I used to tour with them. I mean, basically, it was like, what they call us? It was the bloody the holiday club. I mean, we used to, basically just tour and play up basically
Okay. Okay.
in those days.
Carrying a little bit of maybe a guitar here or there, but that's about it.
But that's about it. Yeah.
Good friends of yours. Good friends of yours.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally. Yeah. I mean, mainly, Jimmy Brown's probably my best friend, I suppose.
mhm.
Well,
uh,
not I suppose, definitely.
most definitely. And you mentioned Big Danny Kane.
Oh, sorry, but the wife's just going, I am.
Hi, Charlotte. How are you? She's not going to come on the screen at all, is she?
No, you
Uh,
got-
so, okay, well, as I did say, and I started going down that route. There's way too much of your story for us to try and to try and fit in. Let's just cut to the chase. In 2002, 2003, or maybe slightly before there, you would have made the decision, yourself and your wife and the children, to leave Birmingham or the West. Where was it you was actually living? It was outside of
We
Birmingham,
were in,
wasn't it? Rural
no, we were in
somewhere.
Edgbaston then. We were living in Edgbaston. And it's 2003, actually. We came on a holiday to Croatia with Jimmy and his family, us and our family. We came on a holiday and stayed with Mickey Couture in a place called Razanac on the coast of Zadar. It's the first time we'd ever been to Croatia. We've been talking about it for years and stuff. Never got there and went on holiday. We flew to Zagreb and we had to drive from Zagreb down the coast to Zadar. And there was no motorway then as well. It took like about, I don't know, 6 hours or something. But I mean, it was just a stunning, beautiful drive, down the coast. So anyway, we got there and fell in love with the place. We were looking, myself and Charlotte and the family were looking at doing something a little bit different, not dissimilar to yourself, looking at up in sticks and I think, our initial plans were, well, I mean, there weren't any initial plans. We thought, I don't know, that dream of like opening up a bar on the beach and working on it ourselves and living a good life really. And I think that's about we were thinking of the kids. I wanted to spend, as I said, touched on previously, I'd spent a couple of intense years touring with the lads. We worked for 4 years on that with Big Danny on the Cartoon Network thing, and it was like a hard work. I've got two young kids, and we wanted to look for a different lifestyle, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, with no intentions of staying over there or starting a business there, we went there and got showed a venue called the Garden. Well, it's the Garden Lounge now in Zadar, which we've still got, which is going into its 18th season this season. And I had to make like a really quick decision. I remember it was like, look, you've got to decide within the next 10 days or something ridiculous whether we wanted to go for it or not. And we ended up just going for it. And I went over in the February, I think, of 2004, and started work and that. Charlotte stayed at home in Birmingham. We sold up everything. And she came over in June with the kids, and we opened up the bar, basically, which is still there now, bar and restaurant.
2004.
Yeah, 2004 was the first, was when we opened up.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and then it wasn't long before we realised that we needed to do something there to try and like sustain our life there. It was all right. It was a great, and still is a wonderful place, but it was a very different concept at that point. It was all about lounging and, there was beds there, which was very, very different at that point in Croatia. We're talking, it was only, 95, the war ended in 95. So really and truthfully, it was pretty kind of like fresh after that, 9 years after that. So it was just in the process of building up the tourism again. Really.
Uh-huh. Well, I had visited Croatia a couple of years after you'd got there, in the capital, and also I was going down and playing on the island of Parg. Was all that kicking off that far back, or was that just about to kick in?
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was a scene there. Obviously, before we got there. Not a very big scene at all, and certainly not an international scene. I think yourself, along with a handful of others, would have been one of the very few that went over and played there. Certainly on the coast,
Mm-hmm.
Pag slightly different, Pag was, that was kind of like, it was always the kind of clubby kind of like destination, let's say. Um, but like I say, there wasn't that much going on at all there. Really, it was like it was the beginning of the rebuild of tourism after the unfortunate war that went on previously.
Hmm.
Which kind of, I suppose, really, in hindsight, when I look at it now, worked for us in a way that we happened to be there at the beginning of something. We also, I mean, the important thing was for us was to raise awareness, really, because I mean, I had no clue about Croatia. I knew it was part of the ex-Yugoslavia, but I had no idea how beautiful it was. How along the coastline was, there was 1,000 islands there. I had no idea of this at all, really. So it was a big learning curve for us. But I knew as soon as we could raise awareness and attract people to come over, that they fall in love with it in the same way as we did, to be honest.
Hmm. Anybody that's been to Croatia will definitely understand just how amazingly breathtaking the place is.
Yeah,
It's one of the places that I went back to on several occasions. Very very good friends in Zagreb, but how long was it down the road then that you I mean you were doing clubs in Birmingham, you were involved in the music scene, you were producing, you were involved in record labels, so it wasn't like you just happened upon this. You had all the tools necessary to spot the opportunity and to capitalize on it, didn't you?
yeah. I mean, totally. I mean, I've been lucky enough that I've always been involved in doing things that I've enjoyed doing, and they've always been based around music and the hospitality sector, let's say, with clubs and various club nights and this was kind of like a new challenge, and I suppose we opened up the garden lounge first and foremost, like I say, in 2004, albeit very late, and then we opened up again in 2005. And then we realised that, look, we needed to do something that was going to attract more people than just to say, look, come over and have a look at our bar. Which is when we got talking about doing, getting involved in or starting off the garden festival, and to invite, friends and family that we knew from the scene, both like, journalists and DJs and club promoters alike, to come over for the weekend, and see for themselves, really. I mean, it was a nightmare. That 2006, it wasn't a nightmare. It was a great event, but it was very difficult. It was like I say, you had to fly into Zagreb. There was no direct flights to the coast then.
It's about a
It was a
5 hour
6 hour.
drive, is it? 5 6 hour drive.
It was then before the motorway. It was like a 6 hour drive down. We did it in June, and it was bloody freezing cold. Of course, we learnt on our feet. I remember waking up after the first night, or not waking up after the first night, opening my eyes after the first night, and then realising. I remember saying to Eddie, actually, saying, "Listen, have you organised a clean-up?" And him just looking at me, going, "No, well, I haven't organised a clean-up." And then the pair of us just looking round. It was like a bomb had gone off. But brilliant. Everybody got stuck in, and the likes of Luke Unabomber was there. I don't know, Fat Phil, the Quinzola, and the No Faking lads,
Okay,
and
so
everyone
tell
just
us
kicked
about.
in out.
Sorry, mate, for talking over you. Tell us about the numbers that were there. Tell us about the well, from the names that you've just given me, I know this, but explain the music policy and explain the attendance.
The first one, I think we were, if we had like between 400, 300, 400 people, I suppose, over the weekend. The music policy was everything, anything goes. I mean, there was no real kind of like, listen, you've got to come over, and there never was really, and truthfully, with the Garden Festival, you need to come over and you've got to play this way. Obviously, it got different as the crowd started getting bigger. And yeah, it was really was a friends and family affair that was pretty poorly organised, that cost us a fortune. And to be honest, I think, 2 days after, when we all looked at each other, we said, right, that's it, and we'll never do that again. But then after a week of getting like, people like contacting us and giving us a ring to say, look, that was the best weekend we've ever had. Let's do it again next year. And again, I don't think it's like going to the dentist. We've said, as an analogy, the analogy. We go to the dentist and you think, oh, I'm never. That's it. I'm never going to that dentist again. But of course, you always do. So we went again in 2007, and about 1,000 people turned up. We learned a lot from the first time.
And where was it? Where was it the first garden festival?
It was at a place called Petricana, which is like a little.
It was there at the place that, because I think I came a few years.
I remember when did you come?
I think I came 2010 was the first year I came.
Right.
The year after Sunset Beat started.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, no. We were in Petricana. I mean, it was off. I mean, we lived there really. I mean, I'll tell you the story of how we found that, because that's quite funny. We moved to, actually, it was James Bramley. James Bramley found a house in Petricana, and then he didn't, a friend of ours, so, and then never took it on. And we told this guy that he was taking it on. He never took it on, and then we took it on. So we were living in this little fishing village, really. We even in the season, there's probably 300 people live there or something, and in the winter, there's no one. So I was out walking the dogs the one day, and I've gone off around the peninsula and stumbled across what became Barbarella's, that club, which was a club that was designed in 1960. I think it was 1968. It was originally designed by this cool old lady. I never met her. I think Eddie might have met her once. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, we thought, God, what a great place to do something. So I went and saw the director the following day of the hotel and said, look, can we do a music festival there? I think he looked as if we were totally balmy. Anyway, he agreed to it, and we ended up doing it. And I think at first they all thought we were absolutely bonkers. I think, well, not so much that we were bonkers. I think they were all scared stiff, all the villagers and stuff. It's like, oh, it's going to be hell on earth, with all these like drunken English people falling all over the place. But it wasn't at all. It was a real beautiful like atmosphere there. It wasn't like as you know from being there, it was kind of, we took over the whole village really. Mm-hmm. And still got some really good friends and stuff there. And we were there for 6 years. I think 2012 was the last year.
Okay, so let me just ask you then, because you mentioned Eddie.
Yeah,
I know Eddie very well, but let's just focus on you guys and how you worked together and the team that you had there at the time.
Well, there was me and my wife, and Eddie and Gail. Eddie O'Callaghan, and Gail, who Eddie I'd known all my adult life. He's another one of those. I can't for the life of me remember where we met. But we've always been close. He was living in the States. Myself and Charlotte, we got married in '94 in San Francisco and hooked up with the guys over there in San Francisco. And then, we were always close. And then they moved from San Francisco and basically just came to live in Croatia.
Brilliant.
Similar thing. And then we hooked up on the garden festival thing. the Garden Festival, and yeah, and there was basically myself and Charlotte and Eddie and Gail that used to run it. You know,
Hmm.
we
So
used to. I mean, we'd run it from our garage, from the garage in Petrachana. You know,
you did a great job, and you injected a whole heap of blood, sweat, and tears into that location, didn't you?
no, yeah, and a lot of orange paint as well. But yeah, I mean, I think it was more. I think it was more blood and tears in the early days. But yeah, we did. You know, it was definitely a labour of love, uh, and you know, just wonderful memories from it, really. But you know, I mean, and that it went on, and of course, in 2008, I think there was, I don't know, 3,000 people there, and that's when we decided that that 3,000 or 3,500 people, you know, it was before the days. It was before the days of us counting how many people were there, you know.
Yeah.
But it was we then decided then that the village could only deal with like a small capacity, really. So rather than us, well, it couldn't grow. We felt as if it couldn't grow anymore. Although it could have, we could have got a lot more numbers there. That's when we decided then to limit the capacity at 3,000 and look at doing other events. Um, I think we did hold on. We did the first one we did was we doubled up ourselves, didn't we, and did like a double whammy, which was like 2 weeks of garden festival basically,
Okay.
which I think was my idea. Although I always blame Eddie for it, I think it was my idea. It's possibly the worst thing that we ever did. I mean, just on a personal level, it was we were so knackered at the end of it. But you know, we went from strength to strength, and I think it was a really good thing what we did by limiting the capacity because we managed to keep that kind of like family feel, that real kind of like where everybody, you know, and sorry, it went from as well from a weekend really to a week's holiday, you know, so people were arriving on the Wednesday and staying for the whole week. And it was a place where people would meet and make, you know, friendships for life. You know, I mean, I don't know how many marriages we've got or how many kids have come from it, but there's a lot because they still come back and see us now, you know.
A hell of a lot. Well,
So and that's sorry, and then that from that really is how we got into doing more events because you know for us to make it sustainable and be able to invest what we wanted to invest into the venue itself. We looked at doing other events. So then, I think, you know, the first and foremost was I noticed in the comments there I did 2 electric elephants in Petrosano.
is that
I mean,
you? Are you fiddling about with your laptop because I can just hear the microphone keep rattling, something
probably
scratching.
me moving my head, moving my hands like this, isn't it?
So keep
I'll
still.
stop.
You keep scratching the microphone. It's deafening me.
I don't know where it is. I'll stop.
Yeah, keep your hands away from the laptop.
All right. All right. I'll sit on them. Yeah, so then we kind of like branched out into doing, you know, more events there. So we set up the production basically,
Uh huh.
and the first one we got in was I think it was Electric Elephant, the first one, or it could have been Outlook, you know, I don't know, I can't remember now. It's like a bit hazy, but so we started adding events, and by the end of it, you know, I mean now we do 7 events back to back.
Okay.
And we did the Garden Festival for 10 years.
Crazy. So tell us about the the amazing venue that is Barbarella's, the sound system, everything about it, the horrible little sweatbox that you wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean that was madness, wasn't it? We just found a gem there. To be perfectly honest, I mean, I remember me and Eddie was like very, very exciting when we found it. It was like, you know, this circular club that that when you started, I mean, when we first went in, it kind of had an overhaul in the 80s, but you could see that the shell of it was perfect. So what we did, we started stripping stuff out of it, and then we were finding all sorts of mosaics from the 60s, and and we did put a hell of a lot of work into that place, and it was a very special. Barbarella's the name, of course, comes from our club, the infamous club.
Ah,
Look,
something is something really really going bad with that microphone, mate. You're gonna deafen everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on a minute. Do you think the mic? I've got it coming through me both. Is that better?
Is that what are you talking to me through that? Are you
Well,
fiddling with?
I don't know whether I'm hearing you through that.
I,
Is that better now? Can you hear me better?
no, not really. Turn it off a
Well,
sec. Turn it off. Let's just see if it is. Let's just everyone. I'm sure everyone won't mind. Turn that Bose off, or you won't hear me then, will you?
I can because I can put it through my laptop. Hold on.
Is that off now? You're talking to me. He's
Is that
talking.
better?
You were talking to me
Hey?
through. That's why it sounds so terrible. You're talking to me through the microphone on the Bose. Just kill the Bose. have
Hold
you
on.
have you got any
Hold on.
headphones?
Hold on. You know me and technology.
Jeez.
Listen, I need to connect to the Bose though so I can hear it.
Well,
Right?
haven't you got any headphones? No.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's a good idea, isn't it? Hold on.
Go on, do that. Let me. While you do that, I'll talk to everyone that's watching.
All right.
So yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for coming through and joining us. I did say at the very beginning it wasn't sounding the best, and now we've just got to the bottom of it. Nick's obviously very busy, so we didn't have a great opportunity to do a sound check before we came on. I can see Gainer and Pugs or commenting. I see we've got a fair few as well there. So leave a message, say hello, so I can give you guys a shout out. If you got any comments that you want to leave for Nick, um, he'll read them and he'll also give you a shout and answer any questions. We're under no time constraints. We're just shooting the breeze as they say, and we'll see if he gets this sorted out at all, possibly. Richie Falone, how you going, Rich? Thank you for following the page. Thank you for, as you'll see, all the
How's
graphics
that,
come
Andy?
up. Yeah, that's absolutely incredible now. Yeah. Oh, mate, that was sending me crazy. Hi to Andrea. Shouts out to Tomo, Lynn, and Mark Henson as well. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Ah, there we go. It's absolutely perfect now.
I'm sorry.
I knew something wasn't right, so let me turn you down a little bit. You were obviously sat fidgeting with the bows, and
I was, yeah.
all I could hear was.
Do you want to start all over again?
Well, we're 25 minutes in, but
Yeah.
everyone,
Yeah.
things like that are meant to happen because it's prompted everybody to say hello. Hi
All
to
right.
Richie, hi to Neil Davison. So we've got a fair few watching, and we'll get so many more people catching up on this as well. So let's get back to where we were. You were talking about the dismantling the remnants of
Barbarella's.
Barbarella's. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was like I don't know, the golden ticket Barbarella's really. I mean, to explain to people that weren't there, Barbarella's was a nightclub that was actually in the middle of the festival site. So so yeah, it was a circular club. I mean, you could get 500 people in there max. I mean, that was like back to back. But it was great. We had great sound in there, and it was a real sweatbox. You'd been there, but it was a very special place, and we've carried that on through. We carried Barbarella's on through, and still to this day we've got it. However, it's different now. It
Hmm.
was back then. It was like 400 or 500 people. Now it's 2,000 people, I suppose now, and open air, of course.
Yeah, so you started off to say it was named after. I'm assuming you were going to say after the movie.
No, 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 no. I mean, for us, I mean, originally it was named after the movie, I'm sure, by Eddie, but no, we kind of like took it on from Barbarella's Birmingham, the infamous club in Birmingham.
Okay. Um,
Um, yeah, and I mean, I think I mean, Eddie loved the logo, and Barbarella's discotheque the logo.
mhm.
Yeah, so we kind of like, and we went with that, and we've stuck with it.
So tell us about the sound system. Because being a sound man yourself, you would have been on top of that from day one. Was the
I
sound
think
always spot on from the very beginning?
no, not really. I mean, what I can't remember what system we. Oh, I think we used it was part of UB's touring system from SSE. It was the MTL2s, and like In fact, we still use some of the subs now in Barbarella's in Tisno.
Right.
You can't get anything better, to be honest. But no, I mean, in the early days, we battled with sound. But I think from 2007, we always used function one after that. We so it was all, we had the dance stacks in there, I think, after 2006. 2006, we kind of pieced everything together. 2007, we started, like honing it in. And now we use function one throughout.
So many similarities run parallel to what you guys created to that what I would eventually do on a much smaller scale. So finding like a little gem in the middle of nowhere and all that kind of stuff. So it's really it is really crazy to hear the stories. Um, by the time 2007 2008 I was heading over to Croatia quite a bit. As I said before, good friends in Zagreb, and it was one of the few places where I was getting paid crazy money to go. So I wanted to go back as often as I could.
Yeah,
I think we saw you. You came up the one time we happened to have a gig on the same weekend because
yeah.
it was just too far for me to be in Croatia and then drive all the way down there.
Absolutely, yeah. It was before the motorway. I
Hmm.
can't remember what year the motorway came, but I mean, now from Zagreb to the coast is 2.5, 3 hours.
Oh,
Not
is it that quick now?
Yeah, well, yeah, depending on who you're driving with. Still 6 hours with the missus.
Unbelievable, unbelievable.
But
Okay, yeah. So the you started then talking about bringing on other organisations, other
yeah.
events, success stories all the way, or did you have any hiccups?
No, no, no. Of course there were, of course there were hiccups. We did Outlook. We did the first Outlook in um Petrachana. I think it was 2009. Wait, what? 2009 or 2010? I don't know. Anyway, we did the first one there, which was like, I don't know, it was like hell basically. There was like 3,000 like young kids arrive and they completely trashed the place. They tagged the church door. That's,
Oh,
that's tagged the church door. We had the priest round the next day, and eventually I think we've got up on. Eddie's got up on stage, stopped all the music and everything, saying, "Listen, we've got to find this kid. Whoever's tagged it, we're going to give him this bucket. He's got to go and clean it off the church door." We're actually still paying. We're still paying for that. We still give like a donation every year to the church for
oh,
that. For that.
very noble, very
For
noble.
that.
Probably all the ultras getting involved.
Yeah, but anyway, we're now and how things go around in a circle, and that was in 10 years ago. It's the 10th Outlook, and now Outlook are joining us in Tisno. Hopefully this year, all going well. So things go around. We had other events. We had was it in Petrachana? I can't think. We did a Birmingham one, didn't we? With what was that called? Like Minded. Like Minded. Remember
Okay,
that?
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, that was with Lee and yeah, that was it. And the Irish guys. But anyway, that one never worked out. But generally, everyone's come back and back. I mean, Sunsea Beat now is 10 years with us.
Hmm.
Electric Elephant were with us for until the guys got out. Which was always great. We were partnered with that. Um, Now we've got Defected. I think Defected's in its fifth year and that now. So we kind of always, whatever events that we work with, we always build a good
Good
solid
relationships with them.
relationship up.
Well, I think that will lead me very perfectly onto the next thing. Then talking about good relationships, I'm not sure exactly of the full story, so maybe you can enlighten us. Things went a bit sour, didn't they, in Petrocciano?
Uh, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't. I mean, yeah, they did go a bit sour. We basically had the contract pulled out from us, in 2000, in October. Um, yeah, I think it was October 2011. I'd gone into, to sign the extent. There was an extension on the agreement or something. Anyway, they just turned around and says, "Well, we can't sign it." I mean, at first I didn't believe what I was hearing because there was nothing. There was no any. There was never any kind of like, you know, bad feeling or anything.
Hmm. And you
Um,
brought so much money to the region.
well, yeah, I know. I mean, we've since found out that I mean, it's still to this day, there's nothing, there's nothing confirmed, but it was certainly, I think, like one or two people, I think, had, made it happen rather than the town of Petrojana itself. It was,
Okay.
everybody wanted it to go on, but let's say it was a political decision, I think.
I understand.
Well, but of course left us right in the stum because we had I think we had 5 events that year. We had 5 events, all of which had sold out, I think, and and no venue. It was a very difficult phone call, phoning everybody and just saying, "Right, lads, I know that you got the events and it's all sold out for the summer. We haven't got a venue." So then we just had to try and find somewhere, and very quickly. Um, and we'd already been looking around, so like thought there's no way we could find somewhere. We knew that we had to get somewhere between Zadar and Tisno because people had booked flights, to either Split or Zadar because people had already booked flights. So we didn't really have that much scope. Oh, anyways, I remember I've gone one way and Eddie's gone the other way up the coast, and I remember having a phone, and we found the new Barbarellas first, and thought, well, maybe we could do it there. It's not quite it's not right, but maybe we could do it for 1 year there.
So it was always a club, Barbarella's. It was already a club.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was kind of like, I mean, it was empty then, but some guys used to run it, and I can't remember what it was bloody called. But yeah, they ran it as a club before,
Okay.
like. Um,
And the amount of times I've been there, you'll have to forgive me because I don't think I've ever been sober more than 5 minutes of getting off the plane. Is Barbarella's what became the open air Barbarella's? Is that actually in Tisno?
it's
How
actually
how,
in the,
how
it's
far
actually in
away is
the
it?
It is actually in the municipality of Tisno.
Okay.
It falls under the option of Tisno. However, it's in a place called Prosica, really. It's like it's not in Tisno. However, it is in Tisno.
And how long was it on the bus? Because again, I can never remember. 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Uh, it's about 5 minutes in the boat. It's about 15 minutes on the bus because you have to go all the way around, and
That's
about 10 minutes
mental.
in the taxi. Yeah,
I've never been on the boat. Never in all my
haven't you?
years. I've
Oh,
never
that's the
never
way to travel, isn't it?
never.
007. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm a bit with you. By the time you get to, although I think I went twice to Barbarella's last year. I think, but by the time you get to Barbarella's, it's all a little bit hazy, isn't it? Really, you
Yeah,
know.
most definitely. I know it can be. It has been a few people like grumbling. Oh bloody hell! Got to do that. We've got to get on there. It has its pros and its cons, doesn't it? We
Yeah.
won't bother delving into that. Let's bring it back then. You found the open air venue.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, but then we were never quite satisfied with it, so we continued looking, and I think I don't know the following day or a couple of days later, um, after finding another couple of places that work, we found one place which we thought was ideal, and what was it called? Bloody anyway, the translation of the word was quiet, hotel quiet. So we thought that ain't gonna work. But anyway, so I've had a call from Eddie, and he's phoned me, and he got, he was all in a tiz was, couldn't even get his words out, couldn't like breathe. He's got it, and eventually he's got it. He's gone, I found it, and I've gone, what? He said, I found the perfect place. So I've shot down to Tisno, and I remember walking in there and just thinking, oh my god, this is not just this is it. This is what we've been looking for.
And was it
Which
already open, already operating as well as
it
the
was.
holiday
I mean,
camp?
the history behind that place it stems back from the socialist times. It's owned by the state oil company of Croatia, INA, and it was basically a holiday camp for their employees, um, which which had seen better days. I mean, but the location, as you know, the location was just spot on. I mean, and we just knew straight away that this could be this coupled up with what is now Barbarella's, with the club that we found up the road, could be absolutely ideal, you know. So then we found out who owned it, and I travelled up to Zagreb the following day, not expecting at all for them to turn around and say, yeah, all right, listen, let's go for it. Being a state-owned company, you know, I mean, everything's really slow. It's all very corporate, and no one likes making quick decisions or any decisions, to be
a
honest.
lot of red tape.
A lot of red tape. But anyway, they said yes, you know, and we went for it. And then it was kind of like, well, all right, well, we'll move. This was 2000. First Tisno year was 2012. Yeah, 2012. But then we thought, well, you know, will people move with the events down to Tisno, you know, because everybody had kind of, including ourselves, fallen in love with Petrocana, to be honest.
Not Petrocane, as one or two people
I
say.
saw that. Yeah. And Pinija, that's the other one. It's Hotel Pina because Jay's yeah.
Yeah.
And Petrocana is Chana. Yeah. I mean, we were calling it Petrocane for about 7 years. Anyway. So we kind of like signed a contract there. I think we did three-year contract or something like that for the first one. And it went right off. It was perfect. I mean, for us, it was then a step up because then we got accommodation on site. And we were kind of like, by that time, we knew what we were doing as well. So things started running a little bit more smoothly. And I suppose that was the 7th year of the Garden Festival. And then, you know, things progressed from there. We started stabilizing things there and you know, and everybody knew exactly what they were doing. And we had a great team of people working with us through the Garden Festival. I mean, now the guys that run Love International, you know, Tom and Dave and their team Love, who worked with the Garden Festival right from the beginning, at first DJing and then booking for us when we became too old to understand or to know any of the DJs, basically. And then kind of like we got to the 10th year of the Garden Festival and then had to make like a big, I suppose, important decision then, really. You know, what do we do? It was like, and I remember, you know, what do we do? Do we finish on the top after the 10th year or do we carry on? If we carry on, then we've really got to go to 15 years, you know. And then I kind of thought it would be better for us to I think we all did after, you know, certain conversation that we take it to 10 years and finish the Garden Festival there and concentrate our efforts more on the production side of things.
People would struggle to believe that because on the surface everything just looks so amazing, and yet there are obviously so many factors that forced you to have to make that difficult decision, because it isn't all a bed of roses, is it?
No, not at all. No, God, we went through some real difficult times, you know, and fights and you know, I mean, look, there's always, you know, highs with lows, but I thought for me personally and Charlotte as well, you know, and Eddie and Gail, for us all, that it was the best decision then that we stopped the Garden Festival and, you know, looked at the next step. To be perfectly honest, the next stage.
Before you go into the next stage, let me ask a very quick question that you'll be able to answer as diplomatically as you can. I always wondered, and I never had the conversation with you. You must have come across some fairly tasty people in that neck of the woods, and having to navigate. You know, you say about diplomatically or politically or whatever. Did you ever get into it? Not scrapes yourself, but did you ever find yourself thinking, "Hold on a minute, we're in a bit deep here"? Did that ever happen?
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, you know, I mean, it's well, number one, we're not from Croatia, although I feel as if, you know, I've been here long enough now that I do feel as if it's my home, of course. And of course, in the industry that we're in, you know, there's always a rogue element, let's say. But I think right from the start, we always kind of, you know, steered clear from it really and never kind of went down that route. because I think with whatever you do, if you do fall into that kind of like, like dealing with the wrong people, let's say, then then you're forever doing it. So right from the start, we never kind of got involved with, you know, I don't know,
The
the wrong.
underbelly.
We
I
we
think
always had our.
I think that's testament to your brain as well. Really, as you just said, you made the right decisions because once you go there, there is no coming back.
No, totally, yeah, no, totally. We always worked with our own. Well, I mean, I say our own security firm. It wasn't our own security firm, but we worked with the same people for years and years. And they came down to initially they came down to Tisno, um, with us, and yeah, we kind of like always. I mean, of course, there were times where we were approached, and of course, had problems, but we always managed to, between myself and Eddie, to talk our way out of it. Thank God.
That's not like Eddie. That's not like Eddie to have the gift of the gab, is it?
No, no,
I could sit and talk to Eddie for hours on end. His analogies are just incredible, aren't they?
I don't know, mate. I'm telling you, football analogies are just brilliant.
Too much love to Eddie. Too much love. Okay, so you made the difficult decision, and then you mentioned the Love International guys. They kind of took over
Yeah,
in.
well, yeah. I mean, like I say, it was a very difficult decision to stop the Garden Festival because it was very successful. People had said, why are you stopping? So then what we decided to do was to have a chat with the Love International guys, Dave and Tom, and to kind of like, to pass the baton on to them, really. I mean, we've been doing it for 10 years. We were both a bit long in the tooth. We were, for me in that game, you need to be out every night. You need to be looking at what's going on. You need to be listening to all sorts of music and seeing what's going on all over the place, and we were no longer doing that at all. We were like, out catching a couple of fish and having a couple of beers and stuff like that at this time. Whereas Dave and Tom were right on the button. So then we decided, look, we could do a Passover here, whereas the Garden Festival and everybody that goes to it, rather than us just go, that's it, we're never going to do anything again, we'll kind of pass the button over to you guys, and we'll work, like as a real like Passover, and it worked, to be honest. It really worked. There's kind of a real similar feeling between the Garden Festival and Love International to this day.
Mhm.
You know, so yeah, so that was one thing that we got right. I think we got it right.
You must have seen a huge transition in the crowds because starting off you would have been dealing with your friends and, as you say, people in the industry, a much older crowd, and then as the years went on, the crowd got younger and younger.
No, totally. I mean, it completely changed in the 10 years of the Garden Festival. To be honest, it started off quite an older crowd. Let's say the Garden Festival, which gradually got younger and younger and younger. But all we're getting older and older and
That's
older. But
exactly
put
right.
it that way. But it does
What was
go
the
around.
demographic? So I'm sorry to talk over you. What was the demographic in regards to nationalities?
Nationalities was quite surprising to me. I mean, look, there was probably I'd say 75% of the people were from the UK because that's where we were from and that's where we had our connections. However, still to this day, we there's tickets sold in. I think last year it was something like 46 different countries or something.
Wow.
So it's quite across the board. However, of course, it is UK, UK majority because that's where the majority of the events are. Apart from Deck Mantle now, which is totally Dutch, which is nice.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was. I mean, it still is. It's pretty pretty special.
Did you get much competition of other people trying to emulate your success in and around? Because as you knew, it was difficult to find the venue. But then you hear of other festivals in and around Croatia, but not really on the same level as what you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we kind of never really worried about that. I mean, of course, there were. In the end, I mean, I don't know how many events go on now, but certainly, Hideout came over first. Um, and then there was lots and lots, but we never ever thought of it like that. We always thought of it as a positive thing. It meant that it was getting recognition.
Hmm.
I think there's plenty of people. There's enough people. It's enough, for you to concentrate on. I think people need to concentrate on what they do themselves rather than think about what other people are doing. I think
Most
that's
definitely.
what we do to try and do.
And
You know,
you've nailed it when you get EasyJet knocking on your door asking if they can do a feature on you in the in-flight magazine and stuff like that. Or was that your hard work that made that happen?
it was all my hard work that was.
Was it really?
Yeah,
I
no.
did I did
I mean,
try
that was,
myself once, but it,
but you say that, Andy. I mean, that was a massive one for us. That pulling off the um, not saying it was us at all, but we certainly had you know, like a little bit to do with it. The incoming flights, the want of a better word, the budget flights or the budget airlines starting to fly directly to the coast. That was a game changer for us. It really was.
mhm.
Now it's extremely easy. I think the idea, I mean, for us, like I said, the important thing was to try and keep all of the event, and still now all of the events do at a level that we feel as if we can cope with it.
Yeah. And do you
There
go
was
knocking
one
on the
year.
doors? Do you go knocking on the doors of the other events, or do they come to you?
No, I don't think we've ever done that. I don't think. I don't think so. I'm just trying to think. I think.
Have you
Well, I
turned
mean,
many down? You
there
must
was
have turned
always.
many down. You turned many down.
Uh, I mean, again, I mean, we have done, of course, and but just things that don't fit really. And also, I think we've decided that I mean, this year we've got seven events, God willing,
Hmm.
um, back to back. And I think that is the most we'll ever do, because then I think it's unfair on the events as well. Unfair on the events, and also unfair on everybody that's working on it. It's a lot. That's hard going. 7 events back to back.
Yeah.
I don't know how many days. What's that? 42 in it, I
Well,
suppose.
it's crazy. So when does your calendar start?
This year, Dimensions is first. That's up first. We got Dimensions and Outlook first. They were incoming because they got, unfortunately, they lost their venue, well, in 2020. Um, in 2020, and so those guys came to me and just said, "Listen, we'd lost the venue. Is there any chance that we can look at Tisno?" Which created a few problems, to be perfectly honest, because we've got Outlook and we've got hospitality down there, Dimensions and Deck Mantle. There were similarities with events and stuff. So after um, many discussions with all of the promoters, we found a way that everybody was happy for all the events to go on.
Hmm.
But I think that'll be it. I can't see any more happening in 7. It's just enough. It's like
So what date does it kick off?
1st of July is Dimensions. So we got Dimensions, then we've got Dimensions, then Hospitality, then Love International, because Love International always went first, but they moved to the third. Can't remember for what reason. Then it's Sunsea Beats, then it's Outlook, then it's Defected, and then it's Deck Mantle,
Oh,
which is, I mean, and they're all pretty much sold out this year.
amazing. The defected, when defected came along, well, I didn't really have any kind of opinion on it at all. I was just like, yeah, that fair play. That's all well and good. And then I'd always wanted to bring Michelle over to come and see the place. And then a few years ago, I thought, you know what? Let's take the kids to Defected because they were old enough now, going out clubbing and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was surprised at the similarities actually. They're worlds apart, but they are very similar. I think anybody would have to agree in between Sensei Beat and Defected, musically. But at the same time, I've got to say again, contradicting myself. They're similar, and yet they are worlds apart. And
absolutely, yeah.
my children absolutely, they loved it. We loved it. We were like big kids, and you and I, Nick. There's a few years between us. It's impossible to think that we're the other side of 50, isn't it? So we remember being the age of the kids. I had Drew up on my shoulders at one stage, dancing along and singing to
Oh,
"Finally"
totally.
or
I mean,
whatever.
for us now, it's the kids. The kids are like you know, taking centre stage now. Like I said, I think I went to Barbarella's twice last year. I go to Barbarella's now, and I'm like 5 days in recovery position on the sofa.
So
You
you did
know,
actually get to open last year a little bit.
Sorry, not last year. The year before.
I was,
Forget
I
it.
was going to
Forget me.
say, everybody says that last year.
I kind of like just block out last year.
Yeah, we've lost a year. We have lost
I
a
mean,
year.
that's been mad for everybody, really. But I mean, that side of our business is totally annihilated, of course.
Mm.
But we managed to get through it so far.
You did well.
And to keep all the events in place, which was an important one.
Well, I think that's also down to your vision and you understanding the longevity of what you can do and wanting to branch out and look into other things, which brings us on to the genius decision to open a brewery.
Yeah, I mean that was a mad one, really. Well, look, we one of the biggest complaints, if not the only complaints, certainly the year that we got involved in. I won't mention what major brewery it was, but it was the beer. Like the choice of beer and quality of beer and stuff. So we so we were often talking, oh, let's try craft beers and stuff. And then I had a conversation with David Plant, who's the partner in one of the partners in the brewery, in 2015, I think, or 14. I think we first spoke about it. He said, well, look, why don't you open a brewery? I'm going, look, Dave, I've gone, like, what one are you on about? I said, I can drink beer, but I haven't got a clue how we make it. And I remember him saying, it's easy, it's easy. It's hops, it's water, it's yeast, and that's it. I'm going, right, okay, yeah. But anyway, we kind of met up a few times, and he said, no, I'm serious. What we did, we sold a lot of beer. So then when we looked at it as a business, it made sense, really, because then we could guarantee, we knew the amount of beer that we sold within the season. So we could guarantee the income from that beer would be in the first year, because we'd sell our own beer, obviously. So we managed to raise the funds, and I mean, it wasn't as simple as this, believe me. We managed to raise the funds needed and built the brewery started in 2015, and we opened in 2016.
I can't believe it's
Which,
been that long. It's crazy.
I know. Which has absolutely gone mental. The brewery has. It's like It's like I can't quite believe it myself. To be perfectly honest, I have very little, or they allow me to have very little to do with this. I mean, um, but we kind of we run the event side of things, and they do an extremely great job in making beer and running that side of things. And now it's award winning. Um, we thought that would have a very, very difficult time through this COVID that we're still all going through. Certainly on with craft beer and stuff. But that's gone phenomenally well on export and
What
home
what
online sales.
territories? What territories do you reach?
Well, everywhere apart from the UK now, because of bleeding Brexit. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Unbelievable. Uh, but yeah, we're all over. We've just started selling to China, New Zealand, America, all over Europe. It's quite mental, really.
Brilliant.
Now we're just now in planning, and we're going to be moving. Here's an exclusive. We're going to be moving venues at the end of this year, to a bigger place, and not far, just down the road, but to a bigger place. And yeah, I think it's I don't know. I really would be guessing at the amount of beer that we're selling, but it's certainly a lot more than we ever thought we would. So yeah, so all that side of things is going really well.
Congratulations, congratulations. And through all the hard work that you've put in throughout the year, for a long, long time, you've always had to reel yourselves in and enforce a little bit of a break, haven't you? In the winter months, for as long as I can remember,
Yeah, no, totally. I
you
mean, that
always
was
took
always
yourself
important
away.
to us. I mean, yeah, we work hard, but throughout the summer. It's full on and very stressful, and and certainly in our older years, we needed to get away and to relax, just to turn off, to be honest. So we first we were going to Mexico for years, and then we started going to Sri Lanka, and then we went to India again, and yeah, now we go there every year for I don't know, 3 months of the year now. And we just opened a little place over there as well now. We just built a little place over there. So
another little leg to the empire. So do tell us about that, because this is very exciting. Uh,
Well,
I mean,
I mean,
on a very small scale, and yet it's going to be something, just incredible, isn't it?
this is it. Really is just a place to go and get away from it all. It's called the Garden Hideaway. It's called, and it started off. We rescued like an old. Well, we went to stay at who are now our friends, the guys that live next door, um, and the land next door to their place was being sold on to cardamom growers. And what happens there when people plant cardamom, or when they plant cardamom, they use a lot of pesticides and stuff. And these guys wanted to to save this land, I suppose. So we ended up, another rash or quick decision. We ended up buying this piece of land next to them with no intentions of doing anything on it initially, just to have it, and then maybe years down the line to do something with it. And then the following year we were there, and some guys said to us, look, there's this 200-year-old little teak house that was a concrete house was built round. But anyway, they were knocking the concrete house down, and they were going to trash this teak house. So we ended up buying that and moving it to our land, and then over the period of 2 years of like rebuilt it, and rebuilt that and built a shower block, and then and now we've just took on some land next door. So yeah, so we've got about 5 acres in total now there of forest and houses, and we call it the Garden Hideaway because it's a place to go and hide away. And yeah, that is purely for just friends and family and any like-minded people that just want to get away from it all and go and do absolutely nothing, because there is nothing there to do, to be honest.
Has it got strong Wi-Fi? Because that's what everyone will ask.
I'd say, well, you'd struggle. Yeah. But yeah, it has got Wi-Fi, believe it or not. Can you believe it? It's like, we're in the middle of the jungle and we got Wi-Fi.
That's brilliant. So
But yeah, but it's beautiful. It really is. It's a stunning part of the world, and it's definitely a place that people, as soon as people can start traveling again, then to go and have a look at.
it'll get booked up. I did see you talking quite a few months ago about could go out there and sort of work and earn their keep. Is that all past now? Is it all done?
No, no, no. Like I say, we took on the land next door again for this. The guy that lived next door, he wanted to get out, and he was looking to lease it to cardamom growers, which kind of like neighbours on to our. We're talking jungle here, And what
Hmm.
they do is they'll come in and clear the trees, not all of them, but they'll clear a lot of the trees, plant cardamom, and then put loads of like pesticides on it. Unfortunately. Um, so we did a deal with him where we took on his land,
Okay, okay.
and there's a house on that land. And now the idea is now that with our neighbours, we'll build like a not build because it's already there, but like create a food forest. We got bananas and papaya and jackfruits, cardamom, peppers, mangoes, like everything there. It is totally unspoilt there. And the idea, and there's also a house. There's a house that we've just finished. Actually, we've just got back from finishing that to a point. And now the idea is that people can go and stay there, and they'll get fed and have accommodation in return for working in the food forest for like 4 hours a day.
Well, have you had people biting your hand off for that?
Well, yeah, yeah, but of course, and then COVID came and kicked everyone up the arse. You know what I
I
mean?
saw
So
something on the news today. I don't pay a lot of attention to the news, so I'm going to sound really ignorant. And I heard something earlier on. Is India going through a really bad COVID resurgence now or something?
yeah, it's mad. Yeah, we got back 2 weeks ago. When we arrived there in December. December? Yeah, no, January. We arrived there in January, and there was like 15,000 cases a day. This is all relative to the size of India, which is absolutely massive in the population. 15,000 a day in the state where we were, there was next to nothing. throughout the 2 months the 3 months that we were there, it's like you know, it was real low levels. However, since we got back the last 2 weeks, I think there's 200,000 a day now, which, I mean, it doesn't really surprise me when you look at places like Mumbai, where you've got like, I don't know, 30 odd million people living in one city, 30 registered people living
In such close
I think
proximity.
this year it was I can't remember the name of the festival, but there's a festival there that happens every 12 years, which was last week, I think, or the week before. And there's 12 million people go to this
Oh,
festival.
okay.
It's the most attended festival in the world. So with that, coupled with the impossibility of social distancing, certainly in the bigger cities, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, that's
You know,
unfortunate.
but they are, you know, getting out the vaccination program. So let's see, you know, fingers crossed.
So, if people eventually, in when they're able to, if people want to take a look into this, where can they find information on the
It's
hideaway?
a, there is a website actually. It's thegardenhideaway.com.
Okay, so if they just Google Garden Hideaway India, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah, totally, yeah,
Uh
yeah.
huh.
You know, it really is. I mean, it's like I say, it's a stunning part of the world, but it's the complete opposite to what we do in Tisna. You know, this is like there is absolutely nothing there to do apart from get at one with nature. Let's
Good.
say.
Well, I know there'll be people, they would give their right arm to be able to do that. You know.
Well, like I say, you know, I mean, a lot of people that we know, you know, and certainly in the business that we're in, Andy, you know, it gets to a point where, you know, you need a break, don't you? You know, it's. I mean, when we first started going there, we like all the guys from the Love International guys and James, all the face, like they all go, but they all go up the coast a little bit to Goa, up to South Goa, around Telpona and around that area,
Hmm.
which again is beautiful. But we came inland, you know. It's like we've been on the coast for years and years, and now we're both in Zagreb. We've moved out of the city of Zagreb now and live in the hills in Croatia, and we moved off the coast. And we didn't go on the coast in India, and we in the hills in Kerala. So I
Brilliant.
think it's that age we get to walking and
Hmm.
walking and nature.
A man after my own heart, indeed. It's two
Yeah,
people. It's two people out there, man.
it is, isn't it? Yeah. We panic now. Like, if there's more than six people, God knows what we're going to be like at the events. But you know, but we're hoping for, you know, we're hoping that things take a, you know, we're feeling. Uh, uh, I'm sick of saying it now or hearing it. You know, cautiously optimistic about the summer.
Hmm.
Of course, you know, it's there's we're working tirelessly on with the local authorities on creating a safe environment for everybody. We hope that the data and you know and everything goes in the right direction and that travel
Hmm.
opens up, which I feel quietly confident about, to be perfectly honest.
It's got to
Uh,
be. It's got to be an absolute nightmare, and I don't expect you to delve into it now. But just from the legality point of view and the insurances and being able to move forward with protection behind you and things like that, I
you can
I, I
forget.
I can't even start to imagine.
I mean, you can forget insurance. You know, it's like mad. You know, there's like we were talking about it today. I mean, look, you know, some governments, like the UK government, I think now is coming out with some package, and the same with the Netherlands as well. Whereas they're working with the promoters of events from all sides on setting up some kind of insurance package. Whereas if the event can't go ahead, whatever the event can't go ahead for whatever reason, then they'll cover a percentage of the cost because, of course, you know the costs are ongoing. You don't do it. You can't organise and put any events in a period of a couple of weeks. You know,
Let there be light. See, there is brains in the family.
well, this is why I'm sitting here in the dark.
Thanks, Charlotte.
So she's run off again. Um, so yeah, so we're feeling, you know, optimistic about the summer. You know, it's going to be. There's a lot more, of course, work involved, and you know, a lot of anxieties at present. You know, because nothing is set in stone, However, we're in a lot better position this year than we were this time last year. Put it that way.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Well, listen, mate. I mean, I said to you earlier, I'm surprised I haven't actually got a glass of wine in my hand here because I could very well have done. But I knew we would have just gone off track and just chatting all night long.
No, totally,
And
totally.
I'm sure you've got other things to do. We've really scratched the surface. I mean,
Well,
we didn't talk a great deal about the things in depth that I know about. For example, Sunset Beat. While I'm wearing this, you know, all
no, totally. Yeah,
the
yeah.
amazing people that um, you've met, or the amazing opportunities you've given to people, and so on. But you know, I just wanted to bring you and have a little chinwag with you. Really, there's so much more to your story, isn't there? And tell us about the radio shows.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Adriatic Coasting. We do
Hmm.
a radio show every Sunday in Zagreb. I mean, that's like a labour of love, really. You know. I mean, it's, you know that Andy. That's that when we started the radio show with I do it with Pepe. Um, it was the first time in ages, to be perfectly honest, that I started listening to music again. You know, no, but properly listening to music.
Hmm.
You know, going through stuff, listening to it, thinking, "What's this?" and all sorts and everything. You know, because at the events, really and truthfully, I'll dip in and out, but very rarely do you get a chance to have a proper listen. You know.
That's it. And you're not bad on you're not bad with a pair of headphones on, are you? Behind the decks.
Well, that's happening less and less now. As soon as they see me putting them on, you can feel them edging me off. You know?
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Well, listen, I think I can hear Charlotte preparing food in the background. Is
I
that
think
working?
so. Yeah, yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, I
Yeah,
am.
but like you say, I mean, just to finish it, really. I mean, none of it would happen. Would have happened without, of course, the events and everyone behind them. You know, like with Alex and Sunsea Beat and that, that's 10 years there. And of course, you know, the people that we've worked with over the years, you know, everybody's made it a special journey, really.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I do know that you can't do these things without the team behind you, and
No,
you can't get a good team behind you if you aren't a good team yourself. So yourself and your good wife are really a strong team, and
no,
you brought your kids up, and you know, as I remember us sitting there, I always remember sitting on my settee with you watching a Big Brother one time after a heavy night in town. And we were sitting on the sofa in Great Bar, eating toast, watching Big Brother, saying, "What's this shit?" Just little things that you remember, you know. But right, I'm gonna say thank you for your time, mate.
cheers, mate.
Really nice
Yeah, let's do
talking
it
to you.
again.
Yeah, we will do. You know, there's so many other stories, and maybe we'll get Alex on and
Yeah, yeah, nice.
have
Yeah,
a
yeah,
chinwag with
totally.
him and so many other people.
Won't be able to understand a word he says.
I'm glad you said that because I was going to say it, but I thought no, I don't want to offend him, mate. Listen, I'll leave you to the rest of your evening. Thank you so
All right,
much, bro.
kiddo. Listen, nice one, mate. Give my love to the wife and the kids, yeah?
I will do, man.
All right, mate,
In
in
a
a
bit.
bit.
Bye bye. Okay, everybody. So Nick heads off. Wasn't that amazing? I have started off a poll asking people when you joined us, which you prefer, Croatia or Ibiza. I'm just seeing the results myself now. 38% people say they haven't been to both, so they can't answer. 8% of people say Ibiza, and 54% of people say Croatia. Well, yeah, Croatia, if you've never been, is an incredible part of the world. Absolutely, it's a cliche, but it is totally breathtaking, and I urge anyone to head out there. A whole heap of different events that you can attend at the garden. And again, I just got to say thank you to Nick, and I know we're going to have a hell of a lot of people watching back the recording, so thank you very much for that. I'm just looking on my screen. I've got some little toys that I've been playing about with today, testing it all. Next show I'm going to do, if this is correct, is next Monday on Inspire and Be Inspired. Monday at 6 o'clock UK time, The Art of Giving a Shit. And we're going to be talking about mental health and how it is for life and not just for World Mental Health Day. That's definitely something that I think you should check out, especially in recent times. I know a lot of people have lost some very dear people to them down to the issues we'll be talking next week. So please like the page, share the video if you're watching it back, and leave a comment, and I'll get around to commenting as much as I can. A lot of people were commenting throughout, so thank you for your time, guys. I'll leave you to the rest of your evening, and yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. Thanks so much for passing through, and I'll catch you online in the week.